Treetrunks is definitely the sexiest adventurer and apple pie maker in all of OOH, so it's no surprise that she's had quite a few romantic relationships. After years of marrying the wrong guys, she finally found her dream husband and adopted their son, Sweet Pea. But babygirl still keeps in touch with all of her exes, so we have a lot to cover today. I'm Whitney Van Laningham, and this is Treetrunks' Complete Family Tree. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our super nerd sponsor of the day, Charles Sheed, for supporting us on Patreon. Sad news from the world of animation. Polly Lou Livingston, the 91-year-old voice actress who played Treetrunks, passed away recently on January 24th, 2021. I wanted to do this video to honor her memory, and of course to celebrate one of my favorite characters on Adventure Time. She was a friend of Pendleton Ward's mom when he first started his career, and she also appeared in his web series, The Bravest Warriors, as High Five Alien. Thanks for all the years of fun, Polly! Now on to the video. Let's start with Treetrunks' biological family. We meet Mama Trunks for the first time at Treetrunks and Mr. Pig's wedding. While helping her daughter get ready for the big day, she insists on calling her son-in-law to be a saucy fan bologna factory over and over again, much to TT's chagrin. Based on this interaction alone, I'd wager a bet that Mama is just as spicy as her daughter, despite her advanced age. This is confirmed towards the end of the episode when Treetrunks catches her mom making out with one of her ex-husbands, Wyatt, at their prison wedding ceremony. We'll get back to that snafu of a day in a minute. Wyatt was her most recent ex before marrying Mr. Pig, but he was number 3 in line after her first two, Randy and Danny. Randy the Rhino was her first husband. He proposed to her in a diner the day they graduated high school, and although Treetrunks was actually planning to break up with him before he popped the question, she says yes. They get married immediately, but right before they leave for the honeymoon, Treetrunks tells Randy that it's over. She explains that she cannot be tamed, and that she has a lot of living left to do before she settles down. With a splash, she jumps into the ocean and swims away from her marriage. While in the sea, Treetrunks becomes the captain of a dastardly pirate ship. One day, a small dinghy pulls up alongside her ship, and Danny, the handsome warthog with abs, convinces Treetrunks to run away with him and his brother to a private island. They marry on the beach with palm trees overhead. But as they fall asleep on their wedding night, Treetrunks grows suspicious of her new husband's floppy brother, Peanut. She takes off the disguise, and it turns out that Peanut is actually 2 members of her former pirate crew. A rival pirate hired them to lure TT away from her ship so that he could reclaim his title as captain. So Treetrunks obviously maroons that shady son of a gun on the island by stealing his boat. After the disillusionment of her second marriage, Treetrunks decides to pump the brakes on love and become a high-powered business executive at a shipping plant. While there, she hires Wyatt the Turtle as her secretary. Wyatt is a total wuss, a square, and kind of pathetic. As he lay crying on the floor of her office, Treetrunks decides to give him a chance, because he seems more sensitive than the others. Unfortunately, instead of being a breath of fresh air, Wyatt is a total baby. His idea of a riveting romantic date is playing tennis, which might be fun if he wasn't there sobbing on the court every time he lost. He also steals a bunch of his wife's apple pies, pretending to be a monster in order to get away with it. He disguises his footprints by strapping 2 tennis rackets to his feet, and while Joshua and Margaret are investigating, they catch him red-handed climbing through the window. He admits that he had to steal more pies because he was too embarrassed to ask his wife for seconds, and thirds, and fourths. Treetrunk dumps him sometime after this meltdown. None of these dudes must have super hard feelings towards their ex-wife, however, because all 3 of them show up to her wedding to Mr. Pig. Zoomed out, you can see Randy talking to Mr. Pig's grandparents, and Danny is talking to one of Mr. Pig's relatives in a large floppy hat. Wyatt has stationed himself at the bar, where he plans to get silly on cider all night and wallow in self-pity. He decides to involve BMO in his heartbreak because misery loves company, and ends up talking their ear off about his divorce from TT. Guess he isn't too sad though, because like I said earlier, after Princess Bubblegum throws the entire wedding party and all of their guests into prison, he totally makes out with Mama Trunks. Gross! Don't hook up with your ex's parents. That's the last time Treetrunks sees her ex-husbands, until Randy calls her one night asking to meet her at the diner where he proposed. She sneaks out of the house so that her husband won't worry, assuming that Randy's gonna try to get back together with her. To her surprise, Randy just wants his great-grandmother's engagement ring back so that he can propose to his new girlfriend. Treetrunks says that she gave it to the man she married after him, Daniel Prince, but that her third ex-husband, Wyatt, stole it from her when they divorced in an attempt to make her stay with him. Mr. Pig shows up at the diner demanding to know what's going on, but Treetrunks reassures him that she's just there to give her ring back to Randy. Just then, Wyatt also crashes the party, bringing the ring with him. After trying and failing to fight Randy, Wyatt trips and Randy yoinks the ring away from him. Mr. Pig apologizes to Treetrunks for ever doubting her. Their love story is obviously the cutest, but I wanted to get her exes out of the way first before we start in on her current family. So let's back up. After her divorce with Wyatt, Treetrunks spends several years on her own making apple pies for Finn, Jake, and the other citizens of Oo. But when her apples go missing, she enlists our heroes to help her find the culprit and get her prized treats back. They accidentally stumble upon a diamond-stealing gang that uses the code word apples to talk about their thieved goods. And while they're waiting in the dungeon to be killed, they meet Mr. Pig. Mr. Pig is being held captive by the Diamond Gang and forced to eat any criminal that crosses them. He apologizes to the friends in advance for eating them, and promises that he'll be quick. Luckily, the rival gang shows up and engages the diamond thieves in battle, and Jake scoops up Pig when the friends make their getaway. Back at Treetrunks' house, Mr. Pig tells TT that he can hear her apples in a large cupboard. She insists that they can't be in there, but when she opens the door, hundreds of apples spill out. Turns out that the magpies have been stealing the apples and dropping them into a cabinet via the hole on the roof. Presumably because he's good looking and has a sixth apple sense, Treetrunks lets Mr. Pig stay. The next time Finn and Jake stop by for some pie, Pig is still living there and confesses to them that he's in love with Treetrunks. They encourage him to tell her how he feels, but their romantic plan backfires when Treetrunks says that she loves him back. Although they definitely exhibited PDA before, the two of them are especially publicly affectionate after saying I love you. They are making out everywhere, and TT even gets her twerk on at Princess Bubblegum's concert. Grossed out by their constant make-out marathon, Finn and Jake tell them that they're only allowed to hook up in private. This only leads to Pig and Treetrunks making out in every closet, baby carriage, sandwich breading, and movie theater they come across. Finn is sick of Treetrunks being too distracted by her boyfriend's lips to make apple pies, so he and Jake separate them. Unfortunately, both of them get super duper sad and begin singing the love duet Dream of Love. Their song melts Finn and Jake's hearts, and they allow these crazy kids to get back to their smooching. After dating for an appropriate amount of time, Mr. Pig and Treetrunks decide to get married in the apple orchard outside of their home. Although we don't really actually meet any of Pig's family members by name, it seems that at least 20 of his relatives are there to help them celebrate their marriage. One of his uncle's names is Donald, but because Pig is talking about him while everyone is smushed together in jail, I'm not exactly sure which Pig is Uncle Donald. Although their wedding almost gets ruined when Princess Bubblegum and the King of Oo start fighting, they finish up exchanging vows in Candy Prison. PB throws them in jail to teach them a lesson for asking the king to officiate their wedding, but she lets the entire party go when she hears Treetrunks and Mr. Pig exchange their vows. Their relationship seems to be going swimmingly until Treetrunks almost asks for a divorce one day. But just as she's about to utter the words, Finn and Jake bust in with a task of existential importance. They need the best couple they know to raise baby Sweet Pea into a kind-hearted man. Their new adoptive son is more than meets the eye and was born from the blood of a Citadel Guardian mixed with the Lich, a powerful evil entity that threatened to destroy all life in the multiverse. Surprise Lich history in a Treetrunks video time! Finn and Jake first meet the Lich when Princess Bubblegum takes them to the tree where he's imprisoned. She explains to them that a warrior named Billy was the only person to ever stop the Lich from carrying out his dastardly plans, and that he pummeled the monster into an encasement of amber, where he's been trapped ever since. PB explains that the Lich will completely decimate every single living creature if he ever escapes. Right when a little worm bangs its head against the amber, freeing the beast. Before they can catch him, the Lich begins paving a path of death all the way back to his former hideout beyond the Ice Kingdom in order to reconnect to his source of power. Finn and Jake race after him, but they're almost too late. The Lich's spell is nearly ready, and if he succeeds, everything and everyone they know and love will be dead. When the Lich infiltrates Finn's mind and attempts to kill him, Finn fights back with the sweatshirt that Bubblegum gave him. Because his sweatshirt is imbued with the power of liking someone a lot, it harms the Lich. Finn takes advantage of this vulnerability, threading the sleeves of his sweatshirt through the eye holes in the Lich's skull. He manages to completely shatter the Lich's noggin, causing him to disappear. Although they believe that they stopped him for good, the Lich's soul escapes and possesses the worm that accidentally broke him free. As the gang is leaving his lair, the Ice King drops PB into the Lich's spell soup, turning her into a demonic secondary version of the Lich. The Snail Lich enacts his revenge on Billy, killing him and wearing his corpse as a skin suit. He tricks Finn and Jake into believing that he's Billy and instructs them to gather all of the princess's gems so that he can use them to open a portal with the Enchiridion. He promises to push the Lich into the portal when he's done, but surprise! That's not your friend! That's the most evil being in the universe wearing your dead hero's skin like Buffalo Bill. The boys jump through the portal to chase after him and find themselves in Prismo's time cube. The Lich uses his one wish to end all life in the entire galaxy, but Finn uses his to wish that the Lich never existed at all. This creates an alternate timeline called Farm World, where all of the characters are simplified versions of themselves. Luckily, Prismo helps Jake wish that the Lich never wished for ultimate destruction, but rather that he and Finn were safe back at home in Ooh. The boys get to go home, and the Lich is imprisoned at Prismo's place, frozen in time without the purpose to kill. When Finn learns that his father is still alive, he and Jake go to Prismo's asking for help. Martin Mertens is trapped in the Citadel, a space prison reserved for cosmic criminals. Only the worst bad guys get sent there, but Finn is convinced that his dad must just be a warden or a guard, so he asks Prismo how to get there. Prismo explains that if they find his mortal body and wake him up, he will die, and Finn and Jake will get sent to cosmic jail for killing a Wishmaster. They're about to take him up on it when the Lich awakens from his catatonic state, kills Prismo, and is carted off to the Citadel. Jake and Finn hitch a ride and start looking for Finn's dad, but the Lich's crystal prison cell has already started to melt from its evilness, triggering other cells to melt and release the inmates trapped inside. While Finn is struggling to work out his relationship with his father, the Lich breaks free to attack him. Finn accidentally splashes some of the Citadel Guardian's blood on him, and the Lich begins to grow veins, arteries, muscles, organs, and skin over his skeleton. The result is Sweet Pea, a gigantic baby with horns like the Lich. And like I said a minute ago, Jake and Finn drop him off with Treetrunks and Pig to raise him as their own. Not only did Sweet Pea save their marriage, it also brought a new sense of adventure and purpose into Treetrunks' life. Sweet Pig Trunks is the exact opposite of the Lich. Where the Lich caused endless chaos and suffering, Sweet Pea just wants to be the nicest, most adorable baby boy in the world. His parents love him more than anything, and dedicate their full time to taking care of their son. They even have a bedtime ritual where they tell him sweet things before he falls asleep. This is partially because they want him to feel loved, and partially to prevent Sweet Pea from having nightmares. Sweet Pea consistently has terrible dreams about the Lich, although he doesn't really know who he is or how they're connected. The Lich tells him horrible things while he sleeps, instructing him to hurt himself or the people around him. Sweet Pea refuses to do so, but his night terrors continue. At one point, he even starts having premonitions about bad things that are going to happen in Ooh. He accurately predicts Martin's return on the fake comet, as well as the real comet that Finn has to stop from destroying Ooh later on in the series. But try as he may to get the Lich's voice out of his head, he can't. This is because a form of the Lich is still alive in Farm World, and Prismo needs Finn and Jake to stop him once again. Farm World Finn has turned into Ice Finn because he's been wearing the Ice King's crown for quite a while now. So he's convinced that he's helping the Lich collect gemstones so that they can open a portal and transport his people to a new dimension. In reality, the Lich is just tricking him into helping him destroy the planet. Finn and Jake manage to stop them before the Lich dives into an alternate universe. Finn cuts off his wrist when he tries to attack Jake, and the severed hand falls into the multiverse portal. The portal copies the hand and sends one to each dimension of reality, meaning that back in Ooh, Beamos suddenly gets slapped by a giant hand falling through the ceiling. They manage to kill the Lich again using the maid bomb that Prismo gives them, but as long as the hand is out there, the Lich isn't actually dead. He continues to visit Sweet Pea in his dreams, and eventually terrifies him so much that Sweet Pea flees his home and runs into the forest to hide from the voices. While Finn chases after the hand, Sweet Pea is possessed by the Lich, who asks him to help destroy Ooh. But Sweet Pea is too sweet for that nonsense! He basically tells the Lich to shove it, and turns up to the fight just in time to help Finn take the last of the Lich down once and for all. He makes the choice to continue being a good person, and because of that choice, the ultimate evil is defeated. In the epilogue of Come Along With Me, Sweet Pea is seen graduating school with both Treetrunks and Mr. Pig in the audience to support him. Later on, when Shermie and Beth are leaving Beamo's place, a gigantic adult Sweet Pea walks by. He has a full beard and is carrying a badass sword, so it's safe to say that he grows up to be some kind of protector of Ooh. But Sweet Pea isn't actually Treetrunks' only child. Towards the end of the series, we learn that TT also has an entire secret alien family in space. Apparently, the same alien comes to visit Treetrunks in the middle of the night occasionally, and takes her away to another realm where he and their children live. In this part of space, Treetrunks can't communicate with her space family verbally, so they all just vibe together until it's time for TT to return home. Although she tries to explain this phenomenon to Mr. Pig, he assumes that she's just having weird dreams like Sweet Pea. But one night, her alien husband comes to ask her a favor. Their space kingdom is dying because Princess Bubblegum launched probes into the atmosphere, hoping that they'd land on uninhabited planets. Her goal is to set up new candy kingdoms elsewhere, just in case Ooh goes straight up dong bongles. But in doing so, her gum droplets start to take over the aliens. They infect their bodies, causing them to transform into bright creatures as they lay dying. Treetrunks begs Princess Bubblegum to help her save them, but the princess doesn't believe her either at first. Fortunately, PB agrees to turn the probe off before the pink goo manages to overpower Treetrunks' children. TT's alien husband promises Princess Bubblegum that he'll personally escort one of her probes to their abandoned planet to get things set up for her, but tells Treetrunks that this means he won't be back to let her visit their kids for another 40 years. He returns Treetrunks home and they say their goodbyes. Mr. Pig is baffled when he wakes up to the sound of his wife talking to an alien, and is even more baffled when she explains that he's her outer space husband. I think both guys are pretty uncomfortable at first, but Treetrunks thrusts them into an unwilling handshake to make them bond. Apparently, Mr. Pig ends up being cool with it, because they don't get divorced the entire series. In the epilogue of the series finale, Treetrunks can be found standing in a crop circle, holding up an apple pie like an offering, in hopes that her alien boo thang will bring her kids to visit. Dang, y'all, Treetrunks has a lot of men in her life. But that's just because her heart is so big. She falls in love fast and hard, but she's a strong, smart woman, and she knows when to leave a dying relationship. Babygirl knows what she wants, and somehow she's managed to live an incredible, adventure-filled life for a little elephant. I think TT's alien family is my favorite of her romances because it's just so freaking weird. But I want to know which one of Treetrunks' family members are your favorites in the comments. Like and subscribe to Nerdwire and stay tuned for more Adventure Time vids.